My name is George Dashiell, for you people who are just joining us here on TV, and I am a candidate for governor here in the state of Idaho, the great state of Idaho. A little background on myself: I was born in New Jersey. Yes, I was. I've lived all over the United States: Dallas, Denver, California, Arizona, Illinois. But when I moved to Idaho, I think I found what all Idahoans who've lived here all their lives or have moved here found out: this is a very special state we live in. How lucky are we to actually be in Idaho, call Idaho home? Very fortunate. I know so many people who leave Idaho and they go to a big city and they wish they were back here. So we're very lucky to call Idaho our own home, and I think one of the things that we should try to do as the people of Idaho is govern our home. Make the decisions for our future that you can make if you'd like. So let's talk about the functioning workings of how would you actually vote. Well, on Inauguration Day, I'll sign one executive order. That executive order will instruct state agencies to implement the voter voting methods of paper, phone, and computer, so that we can decide by majority rules voting my course of action on everything as governor. You'll notice that you're going to determine my course of action. I'm not going to do anything other than put those voter voting methods in place and do what you, the people, tell me through voting. So the key piece there is that I'm not going to change anything in the administrative function of the state of Idaho until you, the people, come through and change it through the process of democracy. And that's a key piece, because that means that whoever the director of transportation was the day before Inauguration Day is who the director of transportation is going to be until you, the people, change that. And that's a key piece that you should understand, because that helps government transfer correctly. One of the things that we have in the Republic that's problematic is that somebody gets elected, they have the ability to appoint appointees, directors of, say, corrections or the ISP, or pick one, transportation department, health and welfare, and all of a sudden you're taking a key piece out of that and you're removing it suddenly out of the system. And I'm not going to do that, not until you come through and you make the decision of who you want. So let's talk about, for instance, appointees. How would you change the director of transportation if you, the people, decided you'd want to? Well, through the systems all set up through that Inauguration Day executive order, you'll be able to say, you, the people, whoever you are, I want a new transportation director. And that'll start the process. And you're going to nominate yourself, let's say, as transportation director. Well, that's going to start a process in which, if nobody else votes and you're the only one running for transportation director, guess what? You're going to become transportation director. If you think in reality that that's actually what's going to occur, I think you're missing the reality of the world. What's going to happen is that many people are going to want to be transportation director, and we're going to have a real open forum on who's the most qualified, decided by you, the people. And not who I, as governor, because the guy gave me money, or because he's my brother, or because I know him, and I'm going to make him transportation director. The fact of the matter is that you're going to have all qualified and unqualified people trying to be, let's say, transportation director, and neither people are going to be able to vote on that. And whoever you decide on, guess what? That's who you decided. And for people who think that that's not, correct and functioning, that's the way the United States is supposed to be. That's the way Idaho is supposed to be. An interesting thing that people don't realize about the state of Idaho, say as opposed to New Jersey, where I was born, is that the state of Idaho only exists because of the United States of America. That's it. It has no other reason for existing other than the United States created Idaho. New Jersey existed before the United States. California, for instance, was its own sovereign country before it became a state in the United States. Idaho was a territory that was created by the United States and was made a state by the United States. So that means that if you go to the Idaho Constitution and you read item number 3, it says that anything in the Idaho Constitution that goes against the United States Constitution gets crossed out. And the reason for that is because Idaho is an actual piece of the United States. And that's a key piece for us to understand, because you, the people, are all created equal. All men and women are created equal. Now, I know some people out there say, well, that's not what the Declaration of Independence says. It says that all men are created equal. Well, that is true, except for if you go to the United States Constitution and you go to the preamble, which is actually a command structure. I'll give it to you in a computing standpoint. You people understand the difference between Apple and PC. PC gets a set of commands that boots up different than Apple. And that's what the preamble of the United States Constitution does. It actually boots us up under a certain number of commands that are unchangeable. I'll give you the first command of the United States. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. That's the #1 priority of the United States, form more perfect union. Women equal to men is a more perfect form of we the people. So I think you all understand that. I think inherently we all know all men and women are created equal. If you think that all men and women aren't created equal, you're a free person in the United States. You can believe whatever you'd like. And that's the beauty of the United States. And you are promised inalienable liberty, which means choice. And that's what we're talking about here with true democracy. We're talking choice, your choice. You can choose not to participate in the voting processes that we're talking about, but I would say please do. Remember, your vote options just by physics in a true democracy are yes, no, abstain, your representative, or you didn't vote. So those are 5 things. You can pick any one you want. You can choose not to vote, for instance, if you'd like. I think that you should vote if you would like to be civically minded. However, I can tell you that there's plenty of things I personally have not voted on because I didn't know the issues well enough. And a lot of people would say that. But in a true democracy, you can still assign a representative, and that is a key piece that people don't realize. They think that in a true democracy, you have to make all decisions on your own. You've got to watch all the votes. Well, that would be not a true democracy. That would be some other kind of democracy. That would not be a democracy in the United States. And the reason is that if you have free will and free choice in the United States, you must have the ability to assign a representative. And that can be any willing voter that you decide. Now, like I say, it could be your mother. And if your mother votes one way, guess what? If she's your representative, you just voted that way. In fact, the current governor, who would be the ex-governor, and if I became governor, thank you to you people, would actually still command a large body of voters. There's a ton of people out there, quite frankly, would say, Governor, I thought you were doing a good job. I want to make you my representative. You decide everything for me. And so that person is going to hold a body of votes, let's say 50,000 voters. So whatever decision that single person makes, 50,000 people just made that decision themselves. And the difference, though, is that if they don't like the decision that person is making, they can always vote yes, no, abstain, or didn't vote themselves, or they can choose a different representative. And that's all computed through the laws of nature and of nature's God, which is legally technology. A law of nature is electricity. Laws of nature's God are physics and mathematics. And a lot of people don't realize that when they read the Declaration of Independence. It just seems odd that they would put those in those terms. But we also have to remember that way back in 1776, they were fighting through many political issues when they were writing that document. And there were many things that had to be said in an ambiguous and nuanced way so that it could get approved by everybody who was getting ready to sign that document. The fact of the matter is that laws of nature and of nature's God legally does mean technology, and through technology you're going to be able to function in a true democracy. I'll give you an example. Bill comes from the House and Senate, comes to the governor's desk. That would be me, theoretically, legal governor. I would have 5 days in which to sign, veto, or do nothing with that bill. During that 5-day period, you could go down to the county clerk's office and you could fill out a paper ballot. Your options would be, should you sign this bill? Yes, no, abstain, your representative, my mother, or you didn't vote. Okay? So that's as simple as you can get right there. In fact, in the early days, before the state IT people, information technology people, are able to actually put together the phone and computer part for you, that's the only way you're going to be able to tell me what you want to do, is by going down to your county clerk and filling out a paper ballot.